I'll fight with them.
Okay, good.
While you finish.
Okay, welcome. It's so good to see you again, my brother. And in the audience, well, welcome very much to this segment of Conversations. A pleasure, a friend of Conversations in the world, I'd say, and that's Deeboot, and he's a filmmaker, and he's also a person that understands filmmaking with an understanding of processes, cyber, and animation, and so forth. And he's here to talk about that and other matters on this Thanksgiving Day. So all of those that you are watching this program might want to get ready for your Thanksgiving dinner. But Deeboot, welcome so much. We did a program again back in 2004.
Yes.
So this is a repeat performance, and welcome very much.
And it's nice to be back, and nice to be an Indian on Thanksgiving.
Yes, to be the Indian on Thanksgiving, right? That was good. Anyway, we did it before in the earlier program, but that was quite a while ago. And just really in a brief thumbnail way, you're originally from the country of India. And you're also a filmmaker. Share your background a little bit, and then we'll get into the sub and substance of this film that you've put together that we're going to talk about. It's called The Quick and Dirty
Guide to
Hip Hop. But talk about yourself a little bit, born and raised, that sort of thing, a little of the education.
Well, since all your programs are being uploaded to YouTube.
Yes.
So if someone looks up the old interview, they'll find a little bit. But I'll give you a gist.
Okay.
I was born in India. My dad was a photographer.
Yeah.
And so I got started in filmmaking a little early.
There in India.
Yeah. And so I made 3 short films and then a television serial. And then I sent that television serial to CalArts, and they took me in. So then I...
Was the series for Indian television, or was it? It was a major distributor and so forth?
Well, Indian television at that time was the only television.
Yes.
So if you call that major, could be.
Yeah, particularly for the country of India. Yeah.
Meaning millions of people watched my stuff.
Wow. Okay, that's really important.
Well,
do you remember?
You know why?
Why?
Because India has billions of people.
Yeah, that's right. Well, not billions, but they got over 1 billion, I guess. Yeah, it's a huge country.
And since there is, at that time there weren't that many channels.
Yeah.
So I know that people watched it.
Yeah, that's true all over the world. The thing is going now, we got thousands of channels and so forth.
Well, especially if it's shoved down your throat.
Yes,
you have nothing else.
Let me ask you off the top of my head, did you like Slumdog or not?
Can you believe this? I haven't seen it.
You have not seen Slumdog Millionaire?
No.
Okay.
It's a...
I would have thought you'd want to see that or not.
Well, that is exactly why I think I did not. Because I would be expected to run to Slumdog Millionaire and drool over it. No, I haven't seen some, but I'm pretty sure it's a great film. Everyone loves it. Yeah. And every second person, when Slumdog was, in the news, would say that, man, I have Slumdog Millionaire, I'll give it to you. Yeah. And
I shouldn't have brought it up, because it was such an obvious thing. But you were filmmaking, you sent it to Cal, where did you send it? Cal what?
CalArts.
CalArts, what's that?
In California.
CalArts,
It's a school.
A school?
Yeah.
Okay, a film school or university department?
Well, it has everything. CalArts has dance, theater, but I was in the live action.
Right.
And then it has animation, and it has
Is it L.A. or San Francisco or where?
It's in the L.A. County. It's in a place called Valencia.
Is it private sector educational thing, part of the school at the University of California, or what?
No, it's a private school.
Private school, okay, yeah.
It's actually kind of a, what do you call it? It's Disney's school. Disney founded the school.
Oh, really? Walt Disney?
Yeah.
Wow, major animator in the old days, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's one
And you were interested in animation? Was the film you did for Indian television animation or not, or was that a documentary?
No, it was live action, but you see, animation is a very nebulous term, really speaking. Right. So there are all kinds of animation, and no matter what you're doing, you're animating parts of it. Okay. So it used to be to a lesser degree before, and nowadays animation is to the most degree, because this whole computer graphic thing, even people who shoot live action,
right,
they're processing the footage to such an extent. It's literally animation.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on in post now.
Right.
So
they used to have a thing called SIGGRAPH, Special Interest Graphics.
Yeah.
Did you used to go to the SIGGRAPH meetings and so on?
I haven't been to a SIGGRAPH.
Haven't seen Slumdog or been to a SIGGRAPH and put off this great film? Okay.
No.
Then maybe there's a lesson there. Mr. Gates dropped out of Harvard, you know.
Yeah. But I actually, I'll tell you a joke.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me a joke by all means. Yeah.
So in CalArts, the most famous CalArts students got kicked out. Followed by
I know that route. Yeah.
The ones who dropped out. So I dropped out and headed my own direction. Yeah, but Mr. Gates is unique in his dropping out.
Yeah.
He became a billionaire.
He did, yeah.
And I'm exactly at the opposite.
You set a standard for us all, right? Yeah. No, I understand.
I'm at the opposite side of. So I don't think that dropping out worked as well for me.
As a strategy, a life strategy. Yes, I understand it. I can dig it. Yeah.
But if maybe I have to go back in and drop out again and see, okay, that did work.
That's going to be relevant to what we're going to want to talk about and everything, because you've just come up with the reasons. That's what we're going to put a lot of attention to, what you've been up to these last years since we did the program. But you became very knowledgeable in a hands-on, real way. There's a term. Are you familiar with autodidact?
Not really, but
autodidact is a term for people who are self-taught.
Okay.
That they haven't followed all the certification rules of how you get a degree in something that certifies you've been listening and studying at the feet of somebody, and a way of certifying it. They're self-taught. And there were a lot of people who were self-taught. Edison was an autodidact, and there was others. I heard in a television documentary the other day, Adolf Hitler was an autodidact. He didn't go through the university or learn the canon of those who are going to be responsible in the society.
Are you suggesting I could take over America?
Maybe, young man, maybe. If not the world, the universe. But in any event, you've learned a lot, and you understand very well filmmaking and also cyber aspects of filmmaking.
And you're talking
that you've learned on your own as you ran that down and put it together, not with huge budgets, but put it together in a creative kind of way. That's a creative space that could be relevant to the work you do.
Yeah, see, so I was in a very unique time when I came to America, went to school. CalArts had all the technology. I didn't have access to it, but I knew about it. And I was also kind of hanging out around Hollywood, and so this is when the digital thing started.
There's some noise. Okay.
That's a very familiar noise.
Yeah, you're right, to you, but go on. Yeah, they just pushed it by mistake. Go ahead.
That's all right. So, from the inception of cinema till like 1990.
Till 1990. Okay.
Till about 1990.
Okay.
Technology did not change that much. See, the way you made film in 1890s to way you made film in 1990, the degree of change was maybe 30, 40 degrees, 30, 40%, whatever they call it. But what happened in 1990 till today?
That was
It is like 20 million revolutions. Filmmaking has no resemblance to from 1990 previous to now.
Yeah.
Filmmaking is not the same.
Really?
It's completely different.
Okay. Yeah, we have linear and nonlinear editing and so forth.
Well, actually, editing was always nonlinear. People just didn't think of it. Look.
Oh, okay.
Let me explain how editing was always.
Because we got people here at MNN that are involved.
Let's think how an editor edits with film. They would chop it up, and then they would put it on a bin. Right.
A Steenbeck.
Steenbeck or a Moviola or anything. They would cut it up and put
literally cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And when you went back to the bin to select something that was completely nonlinear. So now, this nonlinear thing is. But however, in order to, like for instance, there's a shot.
Yeah,
and
it's a frame.
Yeah, it's a frame.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add something to the frame or move it move the shot a little bit to the left side, or I blow it up a little bit, and all these things.
Yeah.
Now that would take me thousands of dollars and maybe a couple of weeks if you were in Los Angeles.
To move one frame?
Yeah, because you have to, do these opticals, and you have to do an internegative and all these things.
Send it off to the shop, have it be sent back?
Well, not one shop, like two, 3 shops.
Really? Okay.
And now that's not the case. So that is the difference of filmmaking. It's not the nonlinear part. It's now you have control over every pixel.
Okay, every pixel.
Yeah.
My God.
Subpixel, actually.
Yeah, subpixels.
Yeah.
It's like quantum mechanics or something in physics. Yeah.
So if you don't have control of your image, you are the idiot. You don't have anyone to blame. So it's like, so now what has happened is, so it's like electric guitar.
Yeah.
If you play well, it's loud, clear, and it's really good.
Yes.
If you don't know how to play it,
it's pretty grim. Yeah.
it also gets amplified now.
Right.
So it's incredible. And you can. So anyway, I'll get back to the interesting part of it. So
that's interesting. 1990 is a break point. It didn't begin with the computer itself, or there's a process leading up to it. I've got a special feel for the year 1970.
Yeah, I know. That's why I brought up 1990.
Okay.
Because I knew that you were telling me about the attempt.
I think all of human history is going to be measured in the end if we don't blow it all up, which I'm concerned about in terms of geopolitical unleashing of the weapons, that they're going to figure 1970 is year 1. There were things going on in the zeitgeist.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, that's all.
No.
You're saying in the realm of film and video, and that there is something going on around 1990 as a definitive breakpoint. Yeah.
Well, before 1990, there was this technology, and there were big studios who were using. Very few productions had it, but the democratization of cinema kind of started around about 1990, and I think it's in 1991 or 1992. Apple came out with the first multimedia computer for the masses. It's called the Quadra 840 AV and the 660 AV.
Okay.
This is the first computer which, right off the shelf, easily could record audio, could record like postage size video, and print it back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. It wasn't like very fancy stuff, but
it's a step in the direction. Yeah.
Yeah. Meaning that.
Like an Avatar movement.
Yeah.
To mention a movie.
That's the if you really look at the beginning of multimedia.
Yeah.
That was it, and it was also the beginning of the internet in a certain sense.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember the first ISP, which is Internet Service Provider.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, and the connection was you had to have a telephone line dedicated to it.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous amount of money. I don't remember exactly, but it was hundreds of dollars for a trickle.
Yeah.
And it was in Marina Del Rey.
Okay, right in LA.
In that building.
Yeah.
The first ISP in Los Angeles. You know how many ISPs there are now?
I can't imagine. I don't know. I use Roadrunner. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Only 2 places in Los Angeles sold Macs.
Okay.
First Computer and Creative Computers, I think. If you couldn't get a Macintosh like now, you log onto the web, there are a million people who'll ship you a computer.
Like that, yeah.
Like that. None of that. It was a fascinating time. And,
yes,
but
you were there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm one of the people who...
And you were appreciating these things as they came online in terms of the creative possibilities for movie making and so forth?
Yeah, it completely blew my mind.
Yeah,
to the point that I've never recovered from it.
Okay, right, okay. Yeah, yeah, I can see it in your eyes, brother. I know. And there's a lot of people. And the world is morphing very quickly to multimedia. We've only had
I think it has already morphed too.
Well, it has, yeah. One of the things I'll announce right here, they got a new thing called The Channer. Did I tell you that? They got an app that's out now. It's called The Channer. And I want everybody in the audience to realize and support those people doing it, because I want all the kiddies in the future to say, and it's an application or an app that makes it expedites and increases the efficiency of morphing television programming like this to cell phones around the world. And the whole television distribution pattern is morphing in a way significant to the cell phone.
I really hope you're plugging some good corporation.
I'm only covering the name. How they came up with, that's my name. It's called The Channer. So I want all the kiddies who will be liberated from all the nonsense we have to put up with in the political order now and so forth in the future. 20 years from now, they'll say, did you see it? Yeah, man, I saw it on The Channer.
You see?
You know, see, I would like that very much if everybody could do that. So I want everybody to support that. You could go to thechanner.com, and it's a serious company. And so anyway, things move, and things are moving beyond hyperbolic. It's moving exponential coming out of the labs now in terms of cyber extension of consciousness.
It is, actually. People call it by different names, but there is a distinct, what you call it? Curve, and I don't know whether it'll ever become a straight line, but...
Well, that's what I said, almost exponential.
Yeah. And so this is... So I saw, look, when I switched over, I grew up in a traditional film environment.
Yeah, at home.
Means I love the smell of film.
Yeah.
Okay, and there is a smell of film.
Yeah, it's...
And I miss those days when I used to go into the editing room and, you know...
With your dad? Your dad was a photographer?
My dad was a photographer, not a filmmaker.
Yeah,
I became a filmmaker. No, I used to go into the editing room with my editors and all.
Oh, I see.
And then onto the school and then onto my own editing room.
Yes.
I never thought of it this way, but, you know, we would hold strips of film in our mouth. Because when you work and you want to keep a few shots around, the easiest thing is to put it in your mouth and hold it.
Yeah, you hold it until you're going to,
So we even would occasionally taste film.
Yeah, right.
A
taste of film.
There is a taste of film.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And editors will tell you. There's also, sometimes you need the emulsion side, and sometimes... So the way we would figure out whether it's the emulsion side or the other side is because one side sticks to your lip, and the other side doesn't.
And you got to know that.
That's how you figure it out.
Yeah. You know, see, that's by the seat of your pants kind of thing and everything. You can learn a lot that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can fondly remember those days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. Right. Okay. It's all electronic. And
yeah. I'm not saying those chemicals were necessarily good for me.
No, but it had a taste that is redolent. You know, it's a feedback loop, you know, to the old days. Yeah, I understand.
So I belong to that world. When I saw, one day I was in Valverde and there was a studio, and my friend told me that I'll show you something, and it took me to this little studio and showed me a postage-size QuickTime movie.
Okay, yeah.
And I knew that.
What year are you talking about? In the early 90s?
1991, I think.
Right. Early, yeah, okay. Right at the beginning. Yeah, right. Okay.
It could have been 1990.
Yeah.
In November or December or something. I
Can't get it down to the day? The time of the day?
No. It's important, kind of. Because
they'll have an algorithm to run that sucker down soon.
Yeah.
They will go ahead, yeah.
Actually, you can do coordinates. Like if I think that what else happened around those times. So now it's very easy to do it with Google around.
Yeah, right.
Because you can track down moments. But anyway, so after coming from a traditional world, when I made the switch. Most people told me that they were kind of these purists.
You made the switch to the new cyber process.
Yeah.
Was it a lot of learning and everything? And
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah. We all are, yeah.
But I made the switch real fast. And there were the purists who did not. None of them make films.
Really?
The people who did not, who resisted it. Went with it.
Charles Darwin said it isn't the survival of the fittest, it is the survival of those who can change.
Yeah.
That's the feature of evolutionary process, you know.
Well, let me tell you something. Some of those people who left filmmaking and went elsewhere,
They made money.
They're doing 100 times better than I am.
I know. I understand. I understand. That's what you get for being creator. Damn it. You know. Yeah.
So. I don't think they're regretting their decision.
No, it's a different thing. Another thing, a quote of a friend, I like Bucky Fuller a lot, best mind in my estimation in terms of the whole human experience. And he said, you can make money or you can make sense, S-E-N-S-E.
Yeah.
The two are mutually exclusive. The creativity has nothing to do with what motivates the vast majority of the society, which is money.
Yeah,
or economics, yeah. But anyway.
And
when did you get back into New York? I met you here in New York, and how did you get from the Cal School and all of that and that early thing into the period there, 1991, that's like 20 years.
Yeah.
So how do we get from there to 2010?
I'll tell you.
And we got to get to the film, that down and dirty guide to hip hop.
Oh, we'll get to the film.
We'll get to it. Yeah, but we're in a universe of time, and the time is clicking, so we got to move along.
All right. So so in Cal Arts, so initially I figured out that unless you had billions of dollars, you could not really make a film digitally, at least in those days.
Okay, that's interesting. Costs come down through time. Yeah.
Costs were incredibly high, and I knew the technology because it existed in our school itself.
Yeah, right. So, you knew of its existence.
Yeah, and I knew how much
prototypes are always expensive. The first thing's of a new thing. It's always expensive, yeah.
Like a SGI Indigo was $250,000 computer.
Wow. Yeah,
And you would need, to make a film, you would need like 100 of those.
Yeah, wow.
So
okay, yeah, that's real money that Ed Dirksen would even recognize.
Yeah. So it wasn't a practical thing. So I got into these interactive media, stuff, and I started making CD-ROMs.
Okay.
So I dropped out of school, formed my little company with a business partner, and made a CD-ROM or two. Now that took me in the direction of the internet and all that stuff. So I kind of veered out of the world of cinema for a little while. I went into multimedia.
Right. Okay.
And I moved upstate in California to Santa Cruz.
Okay, beautiful town, redwoods, beautiful. They have seals they swim around at the end of the dock.
Exactly.
Playing. Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
God's country. Yeah.
Yeah. This is exactly what one of my neighbors.
That's where my son went to school there. Yeah.
UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're getting a field.
No, that's all right. No, Santa Cruz was great.
Yeah.
So I started an internet startup there.
Okay.
And we were going to do exactly what iTunes eventually did. But when the internet crash happened, a few of my investors panicked.
Yeah.
And they pulled the plug.
Okay.
Okay. And this is like year 2000 and all. Something.
Yeah, the bust. Yeah, it was a shame. Yeah.
Then I was in Santa Cruz, kind of in limbo. And on September 11th, watching these things unfold in Santa Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
So I decided to move to New York.
Okay. California's loss is New York's gain. Welcome to New York.
So I within the month, I have friends.
Really? And that prompted you to come here?
Yeah. See,
what was your thinking about wanting to come here where that had occurred, if that was a relation?
Well, that was the day I actually made the decision that it's now.
And what was the basis of you making the decision? What was the reason for you to make the decision because they had brought that horrendous thing to happen here?
Thinking, I always wanted to move to New York.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So. New York is a great town.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, and since I was there, it was kind of slow. I had two huge dogs. I couldn't have moved with them. It just happened that both of them died. And it's like...
a sign from the gods. Yeah.
Then there was 9/11, and I had a feeling that this is the place, this is the time to move to New York.
Go to New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was funny because when I called, I had two close school friends in New York, and one of them actually introduced me to Paul.
Paul Levinson, a mutual friend of ours. Good News Broadcast, nice guy. And that's where you and I met at an event at his house. Yeah.
And so I called the first one, because I couldn't get a hold of the second one. The first one said, "You're crazy. People are leaving town. When I see Indians, Pakistanis, I jump and all these things." I said, like, "You're full of whatever. I don't want to." Yeah. So I called the second one. I said, and he said, "Well, knowing you, it's okay. If anyone else had said this, and I wouldn't
go thee to the booby hatch." Yeah.
Yeah. And then so I came here, and then he said. I drove, looking at the country, how it has changed. I was here.
Yeah, and the equipment, and you were coming here with the idea of pursuing filmmaking and communication and all that. Yeah.
You see, you can't make films without people.
Okay.
Film requires a lot of people.
Or television, different.
Television is you still require people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's done. Look, if you didn't find people like me to come to your studio, how could you have a show?
Well, I would talk about something else. We could talk about economics or politics or dogs or cooking. A lot of Tuscany. Everything. You notice everything's Tuscany these days. For some reason, there's a brand that's getting onto everything. They got it on cat food now. It's Tuscany fat food. Anyway, so that's just saying there's a food channel or something. But
but New York helps.
Yeah, right. New York is a wonderful. Everybody in the world is here.
So in Santa Cruz, the problem I used to run into was
parochial.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. It seems to me the whole world's parochial compared to New York.
Yeah, and so like for instance, someone would say like, "Oh, I have a friend who you love and they're an artist," and then everyone was drawing the same landscapes sitting at Capitola.
Right.
And it's like.
You're creative. That's it. That's your creative. That's your problem and your muse is that you're creative, and congratulations on that. I don't mean to be a taskmaster, but we want to get. It's very interesting. We're almost half in now. Okay, so we got to move along because you've been doing a lot. We did a program with you and so forth, but now you've made. Let's get to the point when I talk to you. You have been involved in making. Animated film, right? And you told me on the telephone that you had been working on a piece, and I forget exactly how you worded it, but it took you 3 hours to make the original footage or something, and 10,000 hours to make the editing post-production.
All right. Okay,
and it's called The Quick and Dirty Guide to Hip Hop. The dance, right? Talk about this project that you've just come sort of, I guess, to the final completion of. Or do you want to fill something in? But let's get to that because we want to show a sizable clip of people and people to appreciate what's involved with the animation process that you're pretty familiar with now, having been involved, as you said, 10,000 hours in post.
Yeah, more.
More than 10,000.
Yeah.
Now that's hard to. That's a little hard to fit. Can we talk about that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so
you had made one about salsa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd made the Quick and Dirty Guide to Salsa.
Yeah.
How long did it take you? 10,000 hours?
No.
No, it took about half an hour or something. Or?
No, it was 3 months production.
3 months.
I didn't care to log it.
That had been done, but now you've done the thing to hip hop.
This took more than 3.5 years.
Okay, set it up.
All right, so I was making a feature film, and it was like not a huge production, but like a $500,000 production.
Okay.
And I looked at the footage, and I had to shut down the production.
Do you remember what that was? What was the? It was a feature film, storyline, and actors. And everything?
Yeah. There were like 80 actors. It was ambitious.
Pretty ambitious, yeah. Okay. Why did you have to shut down?
Didn't like the look of it.
Didn't like the look. Okay.
And you see.
And you had produced it? You'd been the producer?
Yeah, and I wanted to reshoot it, and the person who was co-producing it insisted that that wasn't a possibility.
Okay.
And I had to shut it down.
Okay, well, that's a shame. Okay.
Yeah, that's a kind of a shame.
That's after quite a bit of an investment of time and money and energy and everything. Yeah.
Along. So I wanted to achieve a certain look.
Yes. Okay.
And I knew that people couldn't give it to me. Even though my crew was very well paid and all that stuff.
Right.
So by this time I was out of money, but I still had my studio.
Yeah.
And so I think that, okay, what I'll do is I'm going to shoot a very quick production, but I'll shoot it in front of the green screen.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it in, and it would be kind of figuring out how to achieve this kind of look. Because as I was telling you, filmmaking is moving in such a pace that if filmmakers don't keep up with technology, they don't even know what the hell is around
They'll
the
be
corner.
lost in the dust.
Yeah, so it was kind of be a little bit of retraining, getting, you know, and getting the situation.
And you had already made the Down and Dirty Guide to Salsa?
Quick and Dirty Guide.
You had done that already?
Yeah.
Okay, and the other film was in between those two?
After
you had
that,
to shut down on. Okay, that's the status, yeah. And this was about 2 or 3 years ago, or 4?
It's 2006.
2006, okay, 4 years ago. Okay.
And so I planned, it was very low budget, you know. We rented a Boys and Girls Club, and, you know, then this is what happens.
And, okay.
We shoot it in 10 hours.
Okay, and what it was to be was a guide on how to dance hip-hop, or the implications of hip-hop, or what was the concept and the idea, or the property?
Just like the salsa thing.
Yeah, which people probably are not familiar with, most of the audience.
The Quick and Dirty Guide to Salsa, look it up.
Okay, we look it up. Okay, good, good. Go to your computer, look it up. Okay, but it was a guide to the dance salsa, the Latin dance salsa.
Yeah, it's all over the place, the Quick and Dirty Guide to Salsa.
Okay.
It's but then, you know.
Yeah, it got a lot of distribution. Yeah, right. Okay.
This one is also getting good distribution.
Okay, good. Okay.
So the distribution is there. What I was, so then I got into it so I have the footage.
You got 3 hours of footage? You say 3 hours?
Yeah.
You shot all the original footage, green screen, with people and so forth. You had the concept in mind. It was yours.
Yeah.
You did all the writing. You did everything. It was your baby.
Yeah.
You didn't have another writer or another person or something coming in?
No, at this point,
the creative thing was yours?
Yeah.
Okay, and you did a green screen, 3 hours, you had this footage?
No, the green screen is just filming the people.
Yeah, right.
You know, they're teaching, so there is really not much of a problem.
Okay.
And so, but this is what happens next. So I'm all by myself, and I have this. I started with the concept that my camera starts out looking at Queens, and Queens towards Astoria, with something that I see when I go on N train, you know, over the bridge and all these things.
Yeah, I know it well. Yeah.
So the camera looks into Queens, and then it goes up in the sky, and it shows people, gives people the whole. I'll tell you why this was important in a bit, and then goes all over, and there are hundreds of thousands of people who are in this big event. It's just like a Jon Stewart rally kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it turns around, and then you see Manhattan, and you realize. So I wanted to keep Manhattan in the background because that is the milieu and the realm of hip hop is actually this concrete jungle. It requires a lot of steel, bridges, trains. That is hip hop. That's where it came from.
Oh yeah.
It's the urban feel.
Yeah.
But it's the ghettos.
Yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah.
So I wanted to show the ghettos, then flip it around and show the ghettos in relation to the main city, which is it's under the you know, like the whatever you call it, the backdrop. It's under the shadow of thing, and it comes down and the thing starts. But when I was doing this, I said, like, okay, I wanted to use what they call visual ambiguities. In hypnosis, they use all these things to train people better.
Okay.
So there are a lot of trains because it trains you.
Yes.
It trains your mind to get trained in hip hop.
Okay.
So
really? Okay.
Yeah. These are. It's pretty well thought out, even on.
It's a huge phenomenon. It's everywhere in the world. It's taken off like crazy. I mean, it's everywhere in the world. The hip hop.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah.
That is still true.
Yeah.
For my own.
Well, it certainly
survival.
was. Yeah, it has. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
And then, you know, the dancers get pulled in on a train and all these things. So normally, to do these kind of logistical stuff, it would cost millions of dollars.
In film, you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But now it's possible to do it with CG.
With CG, CG being
computer-generated images. CGI.
CG stands for computer-generated images. Okay, yeah.
CGI.
Yeah, CGI. Huh?
However, you know, as savvy as I was, thinking that this is easy.
10,000 hours?
I'm telling you.
No, literally, you're not kidding.
It's not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
only that, if anyone really tries to do things like this, they'll realize that it'll take you to the limit, not of technology, but of human limitations.
Of consciousness or something.
Yeah, because it
puts you right over the edge. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. See, 1 year into it, I didn't even know whether it was possible.
You had to get machines together, you had to get algorithms, you had to get program writing.
It's a huge logistical thing.
To get an hour program, that's what you got,
yeah.
Right, in the end.
And you'll watch it, you know.
Yeah, we're going to set up about 10 minutes, we're going to run it. And it's how to dance hip-hop or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, I don't want to spoil the fun for people or something, or give away the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's no credit in the film for CG.
Okay, yeah.
I could afford to do that.
You could have given it to yourself.
That's why I could afford not to take it.
Yeah, right.
Because then it gives a feel that as if this was all real. So I don't want to take it away. But since it's an interview and I don't know when you're going to run the clip, the initial part of the film has more than 180 layers. I stopped.
180 layers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But more than I said, because I kind of lost count around about the 180 mark.
Okay, okay.
And a lot of other...
A layer would be a layer of image manipulation and so on?
Or image or manipulation. You know, it could be an adjustment layer, but it's not an adjustment layer, but it's a layer of image, which is being matched. And every time you're doing a pass, you're doing a pass with a virtual camera, which is going and rendering one or maybe 2 or 3 little elements.
You said it was down to a pixel.
Yeah, meaning the pixel control comes towards the compositing part, which is towards the end. But initially, you're picking up the elements. So if you see a little brick on the street, I had to put it there.
Yeah, right. No,
it doesn't appear.
Right, right, right.
So
yeah, and you literally were doing post-production on those 3 hours of green screen or the acquisition footage and everything.
Yeah.
And you figure, literally 10,000 hours.
Well, I didn't figure that. I thought it would be 9 months max. You know, my money was set out that way.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, a year. I said, what the hell, 3 extra months, I'll put in. But 1 year into it, so now...
You were just getting the hang of it, right? And each year you saw new things you could do. Okay, yeah.
But things changed, you know. While I was doing the film, operating systems changed. Barack Obama went from being incredibly popular to losing, you know, part of the House.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing, and part of the film, as you will see, was also inspired by Obama's, you know, like the rally and how he came to power. And it captures the moment.
Okay, now listen, we're going to have to show the film.
All right,
okay?
all right.
We want to show about 10 minutes, and this is the film. We'll come back and talk to it because we're almost 40 minutes in.
All right.
So we want to get it done, and it's called the Down and Dirty. No,
that's all right. It could work too.
No, the Quick and Dirty.
Yes.
The Quick and Dirty Guide to Hip Hop, and it was been produced 3 hours of acquisition footage in front of a screen, and literally 10,000 hours of post-production manipulation of the images to get, and it's going to have an opening and so forth. We're going to show that, about 10 minutes of it, and it's going to be how it's addressing hip-hop in a way that is sociological, all this and everything, and it's been done by our guest, Deeboot Das. And so why don't we set that up and run it, the Quick and Dirty Guide to Hip-Hop. Here we go, here we go. You've seen it.
dirty guide to hip-hop. My name is Cindy.
And my name is Phil, and we're here today to teach you some of the hottest dance moves so that you can be moving and grooving in the club with the best of them. First, I want to let you know that hip-hop is all about confidence. You have to bring your own style and your own individuality to the game. So make sure that whatever we put out for you, you're taking, adapting to your own personal self, and having fun with it.
Our choreography is called mirror choreography. Our left hand is your right hand. Our right hand is your left hand. Our left foot is your right foot, and yes, that's right.
At any time you feel like you're moving a little too fast, or you need to go over something, you can always
Pause
and rewind so that you can go back over all the stuff we've taught you until you feel comfortable and ready to move on.
Always stretch before dancing. It's very, very important. I highly recommend stretching because stretching prevents injury and it gets you very flexible to dance. So, I'm not saying that you should do a full-out stretch while going to the club. Stretching! No, don't do that. That's crazy. People don't do that. Okay? So, let's get started. We're gonna start.
Happened. See, that was incredible. That made me think of that introduction thing. That was how long did it take you to do that before we got to the people on the stage and everything? That introductory piece we just saw.
Yeah.
Talk to us about it. What was involved in creating all of that?
Well, when I started making this thing, there was no avatar.
Okay, that's right. I was going to say Avatar has just set a new record of animation. Yeah. Cameron.
My yardstick at that point was Star Wars.
Okay, yeah.
And so this was, in my mind, was being made like they made Star Wars.
Okay.
And it does have the same resolution.
Okay.
There are things that make a film look, lack of better term, Hollywoodish.
Okay.
Is
that a derogatory term in your head?
It is.
It is. Okay. As opposed to experimental things that are being done.
Well, if I give you
no.
If I can explain it to you in technical terms, it's films with high dynamic range.
Not production values.
It is a production value because if you want high dynamic range in your images, it multiplies the rendering time by God knows, because the first part, the part with I don't know what exactly happened there, but the first part was done in 32 bits.
32 bits.
Okay, so it's the color depth.
Okay.
So you normally, when you see an image, you don't realize it. So when you go and see one of the Superman or Avatar,
there's so much now.
So you see so many colors, the little glows, and gradients.
Yeah.
You see, from one color to another color, it smoothly travels over.
Right.
Now that's because it has very high bit depth.
Okay.
And
bit depth.
Yeah,
okay.
So that is what makes an image so alive and so Hollywood. Hollywood does that. So most people with a cheap camera go around and they shoot and they say like, man, it never looks like that. Why doesn't it look like that? It's because it's not high dynamic range.
Okay.
And
you need special cameras to be able to realize that, or special computers, or something.
It's a post process because HDR cameras will eventually be available, but they're not around.
Not ubiquitous. They will become. Okay.
I'm pretty sure someone has it, but but not many people have access to that. But in post, you can do that, especially if you're rendering it out in some kind of a 3D environment, and you can take still pictures, and which is how a part of this was done.
Yeah.
You can have high dynamic range still pictures, and take the range from the images. It's kind of like a little geekish stuff. Very interesting though. Once you get into this kind of
Okay.
Look it up. Look it up. You know.
Okay. What is it we look up on Google?
HDR images. They're fascinating.
HDR images. What is HDR in images? Is that what you're saying?
It's like high dynamic range images.
High dynamic range. Okay. Yeah.
Fascinating pictures.
Yeah, and there's information about it on the internet or something.
Yeah.
And Google image and then HDR.
If you just put HDRI or HDR, it'll bring it up.
Okay, why?
So I wanted this done like the way, you know, these big things are done.
Yeah.
And
like Avatar.
Yeah. Right. This has completely finished me. I shouldn't talk like that.
No.
It was tough.
Yeah.
So towards the end, it's, you know, a visualization kind of thing. I don't know whether you know about Reinhold Messner.
I don't know the name. I know Reinhold.
So there are two kinds of mountain climbing which goes on in the world.
Yeah.
One is the Himalayan kind, where you take a big team, Sherpas, you know, coolies, and all these things.
Right.
And you climb the mountain.
Right.
And then there's the alpine style.
Yeah, that's only 14,000 or something.
No.
The elevation is not so high as the alpine.
Yeah, but it's a style.
Yeah, right.
The alpine style is you are on your own.
Oh, okay.
And you go up and down on your own.
I see.
And you have to be incredibly trained to even attempt all these things. And you go up fast and come down fast.
I see. Okay.
So the guy there are Boole and all these people. There are lots of famous guys who have done that. The most famous one in our times is Reinhold Messner.
Okay.
So I used to visualize towards the end that this is a Reinhold Messner kind of a situation.
With your thing.
Yeah. So I have to somehow get up there and get down real fast.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't
10,000 hours later, you're still, yes.
But
you're literally true.
Yeah, but because there's no backup.
Yeah.
There is no help. One is, even now, if I didn't show that, just by talking to you, if I told them that it was totally worth it and it's fascinating, till you see that, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it didn't make any sense to anyone around me. So most people were, till a few weeks ago, under the impression like I've kind of lost it or something.
Mentally.
Must have.
Yeah, right.
Because I could hear a certain, you know, on my friends' voices, and you know, kind of, we have been hearing about this for years now. You know, like but at the end of it, I don't know whether I've achieved anything or not. It's point. You know, when you come through all these things, it becomes irrelevant.
Okay.
But there is a sense. The sense is that if someone dropped me with some equipment with every other top filmmaker on an island or something and gave us like a month to go and make a film, but you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. Alpine,
I would very likely whoop everyone's
behind. Yeah, okay, really, okay.
That's the feeling.
I understand that. That's the way of an entrepreneur or something. No, I understand, yeah. So, I think a lot of artists have been in that position.
I don't think I'll even make enough money to even pay me minimum wage out of this thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But what happens next would be...
Was the process of doing that all those 10,000 hours?
It's more than 10,000 hours.
More than 10,000. Was it a creative process that gave creative satisfaction? Was it laborious? Did you have to do things in a rote way in order to do it? Rendering, sometimes you're waiting for hours while something happens. It's kind of boring and that kind of stuff.
Tell me
or
about
was it creative? What was the dynamic of those two sensations that were part of your consciousness as you went through these 10,000 hours of creating the film?
If you really want to know it?
Yeah, I would be curious what it is, because that's an awful lot of time.
Pain.
Pain.
It's very painful.
It is painful. Okay.
I wouldn't, meaning...
You don't recommend it?
Don't try this at home.
No, try it at home, yeah.
But that's not true, though. I don't believe that. I said that because everyone said it. Yeah. Definitely try it, but you got to be savvy about what you're doing.
And the equipment that you have available to you and the level of sophisticated equipment, processors, servers, all that sort of thing and everything, is that relevant?
Yeah, it's relevant. I used to see these people with like 8-core machines at home.
8 what?
8-core machines.
What's a core? I mean, just a
meaning
regular
8
computer.
processor machines doing email while I'm on these outdated computers trying to do this thing. It felt really bad. Seriously.
Did the extreme period of time needed to do it reflect the fact that you weren't able to have the most up-to-date machines available to you? Could the process be speeded up if you had a state-of-the-art equipment? And would you have been able to get it down to a couple of hours or something?
Yeah, I could have shaved off
Cray
like maybe
or something, or is it a supercomputer or something? And
No,
are there
not even
algorithms involved? Are there algorithms involved in terms of a program that creates these things, or how does it work? I can't quite grasp it, but how does it work? Is it?
It's a very involved process.
Okay.
You know, you cannot learn one software and do that. That's not going to happen. So it's a very involved process. Meaning it's just the engineering part of it.
Yeah.
To create a system which would handle that. That by itself is a miniature feat.
When you see things like Happy Feet, have you ever seen that on HBO?
No,
the thing with the penguins and everything, and is that?
Yeah.
Or then you have Avatar, which is 3D and everything like that. I mean, that's
3D
getting
is not a big deal. Really.
Not 3D is not, but I mean the animation, right? And the animation, or Happy Feet, and well, we had Bugs Bunny, and we had Donald Duck, and we had Walt Disney, and all of that kind of stuff. And are we going to see more and more? And we see quite a lot of animation on television. A lot of the kids.
Well, you don't
shows,
realize it.
Simple animation. What is the future of animation in terms of television programming, and how is it going to interface with the more traditional presentations that are?
Well, I think the animation term will drop off.
You do, okay.
Because everything will become animation.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning everything, like you don't realize it, a lot of things that you see are animated, whether they're animated with scripts or whether they're animated with keyframes, it doesn't really matter.
What's a keyframe?
Meaning done by hand or done automatically.
Okay.
And most of the stuff that you see.
What do you stuff you see? You see television, you see talk shows. This is not animated. This is just television. You see it on a television screen.
Well,
or it can be made.
This show is still pretty live and all these things.
Yeah.
But let's say that someone took this talk show and they decided that we are going to do. We are going to cut it down and we are going to make something out of it.
A guy did that with it one time. I had a thing with Bucky Fuller, and he did it, and he put all kinds of graphics and stuff, and he just did it and everything, and it was kind of interesting. Different colors and different blacks and all that. And fine, you can play with those images in a way that we couldn't have done in the past.
Yeah, so
that's animation in a way, or editing, or
it's
creation.
It's image processing, but the moment you image process temporarily, that's animating the image process.
Okay, yeah. We got Photoshop and so forth in the realm of still photography. We got ways in which we can. I had a lot of friends who are photographers that can do everything. Everything's changed since the digital photography. You know, it's all changing, and by animation, you think it's going. What is going to replace? We have a term, reality TV,
which is a complete, what do you call it, paradox. Because the reality TV is scripted.
Yeah.
And even like if you look at Dancing with the Stars, you often see that the people who get the least amount of votes stay on, and it's so that there is no reality about it. Everything is gamed.
But I heard, and I heard some people say, I got a lot of friends who are actors and that, it's getting tougher to be an actor because it's harder and harder. Because it used to be the first thing you had if you're going to do, let's say, a feature film, Gone with the Wind or something. First thing you do, you get a property. You get a writer who writes something and they put words and they put a thing to get a property and then you build on that. And that was really important. And now what is going is they're showing things that are like, almost like verite out of real life, you know. So, I walk around the streets, dude. I walk around the streets. I see Academy Award performances all the time when I'm walking through Manhattan. Cab driver scraping his fist, and he's just being himself. There's no script. There's nothing. It's just there. That I think of it like reality has a certain quality to it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's what I don't know what reality TV is.
Neither do I.
Okay.
Because you really don't know how. People, it's all about ratings.
Yeah, that's a market-driven concept. Yeah, they want to get. I guess, you know, when I used to go to grad, there was a guy, Bob Abel. He was a guy back in the SIGGRAPH times in California. And you're making a lot of where the attention goes are on the ads. Yeah. And in the minds of the people who put the industry together, the program is just stuff to fill in between the ads. And the ads are there in order to get people to buy Wheaties rather than cornflakes. Yeah. And it's all dedicated on manipulating people's buying, and it's all economically based, and that's the only thing that matters. And you got to get ratings so that you have more people buy Wheaties than cornflakes. And they have great arguments and fights and proxy fights and everything about whether you're going to have more Wheaties or cornflakes sold in the market, and that's what life's about.
And then you also have nowadays, which wasn't so blatant before, it's an agenda-driven programming.
Oh, yeah. You mean like political things and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's that. Yeah.
And nowadays.
Now, where does the animation and the artistic, and where is it going? And the fact that we're getting exponential things out of the computer labs now. Yeah. They're going to carbon 60 now. They're going to be the whole process is going to extend in terms of bandwidth and possibilities. It's going to be going more.
Bandwidth is going to make a big difference.
It is indeed. Yeah.
And it's got the mobile.
The television programming is morphing to the cell phone. Well, multimedia is more like the way we experience the world when we walk through it.
And we don't
experience it linearly like a scripted way, because we only had print to record everything culturally and so forth. Now we've got multimedia, the way we encounter the world as we walk through it.
Well, we encounter the world through our mobile devices now.
Well, that is, yeah. Now they're with the Channer, they're going to be making it easier for you to interconnect to the cell phone. With television programming.
It's a little deeper than that.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. We only got about a minute left, so let's see if there's any last quick zinger. We have to get it in here pretty quick. We only got about a minute and a half left.
Well, I really don't have any zingers, but you know, like.
Are you going to do more of this kind of thing?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay, I know the feeling.
Literally, the zinger from all these things are. Yeah. I've just finished it.
Yeah.
And it's a very crazy world. You're the first person who has shown this.
I'm very pleased and honored to have been able to do that. Yeah.
I'm curious to see where this takes me.
Okay.
I have no idea what's happening next.
Are you happy? Is it behind you? Is it done? Is it? They used to say in the industry, it's in the can.
It's in the can.
It's in the can.
Yeah.
Can you remember the day that after 10,000 hours of post, it was, you could say, it's in the can?
Yeah, it was a few days ago, but I don't exactly remember.
Congratulations on that monumental event. I think that's something else. So you put that much attention to it and the implications of it and everything. And
I'm really not attached to it anymore.
You're not attached, no?
Yeah, no.
What's the next 10,000-hour project that you want to take up, maybe say next week?
No,
I'm just kidding. No,
I think I'm going to put a.
You're going to take a little rest, maybe.
If that happens.
Yeah, right.
But possibly, is it over?
No, not quite. No. It's still being recorded for the Akashic record and television.
Oh, yeah. It's hopefully it'll lead to something interesting, because what I really picked up was R&D.
And it's also art. It is art. There is an art quality to this that's going to come through, and people will see, and people will understand, particularly people who understand all the nuance of what's involved. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for viewing. Deeboot Das is the man's name. We got a link to his website. That's good. People can go to it. People should go to it and do it. And I really congratulate you on having come through all that and sharing all this with me. I really appreciate it very much.
I thank you for having me.
I wish you all the best. Happy Thanksgiving to one and all that are viewing. Happy Thanksgiving. Go eat turkey. I think it's a federal law that you must.
Yeah.
Do you go to prison if you don't eat turkey?
Unless you can mainline tryptophan too.
Tryptophan. But also, it's good to talk to an Indian on Thanksgiving Day to set the record straight. Right. Okay. Thanks very much. And so I think we must be out by now. But boy, that's amazing. That's an amazing odyssey. It's like that you've done that. You've done it all in your studio. And
yeah,
all in
a little studio.
Little studio.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
And yeah, it's pretty weird.